Yeah, I received the recording.
Great. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for taking time to join us today. My name is Susan, and I work for SHPE, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And we have started a partnership with Medtronic in the last year or so, developing an internship program called InternSHPE. And finance students are definitely included in this. We definitely love to have finance students as part of our membership in the organization. And what we really are doing is partnering with Medtronic to provide a more holistic experience for the interns. So as an intern at Medtronic, you will be at a Medtronic location and working through the internship experience there, but we will have a SHPE cohort of about 30 to 35 or so interns, and we'll provide mentoring experiences. We'll do some professional development courses, have some panels, just provide some more support for you as you both get ready to go to the internship, but also once you're at the internship to help you through that experience as well. Just a couple of quick housekeeping things. We are recording the session today. At any time, if you want to ask a question, you are more than welcome to turn on your camera, unmute yourself and just ask a question directly. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can also just type that into the chat. Our goal today is to make sure that your questions get answered. I've got lots of questions to ask Andres, but we want to make sure your questions get answered first. So feel free to chime in at any time that you have questions that you want to get answered. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andres Rubio and let him introduce himself and tell you about his path and his journey.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for inviting me to this meeting. I know probably the first question that you are receiving, Susan, is like the same than the picture. Yeah, it's correct. I'm the same one. The picture was pre-pandemic. Now 2.5 years working from home. I'm this one. My first time with beer, etc. So yeah, I'm the same one. I'm based in Miami. I'm working as a finance director for Latin America region, especially, I mean, my core of the position is FP&A here in Latin America, but based on the dynamic that we have in Medtronic, I can spread or cover different topics in the same day, not only FP&A oriented. I mean, we have many conversations with taxes, controllership, compliance, etc. Not only finance, that is pretty much my day. But let me start with my experience, my first day, probably. I'm very full empathy with you guys because 22 years ago, when I was 17 years old, I started to work in Boston Scientific as an internship. And I was there working as junior accountant, very simple journal entries, posting every day, checks, but different process there in accounting process. And I was there 6 years. I started to work there only for 3 months, but at the end I was in Boston Scientific during 6 years. And then I moved to Merck, the pharmaceutical company. I was working there in the shared service center, which was very profitable for my career because I had the possibility to have the first regional experience. In Boston Scientific was very oriented to only one country, in Chile. Sorry, I forgot to say that I'm Chilean. I was born there. So when I moved to Merck, I had the opportunity to work as a regional, level or experience. So that for me was very profitable because I had the opportunity to share with different culture in the same office or like my customers, stakeholders. So that for me was very good because I was able to open my mind to discover different culture, different stakeholders. As you know, in Latin America, probably we are in a small region, even for Medtronic, Latin America compared with US, EMEA or something like this. Latin America is a small region, but with a lot of complexity. We speak different language. The tax environment is very different. The compliance, it is very different in each one of the countries. As I mentioned before, I'm Chilean. Next to my country is Argentina, but between Chile and Argentina, the people, the culture is different. The way to do business is the same. So when you work in Latin America, you need to be very able to hear different situation, different local currency, inflation situation, etc., which develop in you different skill. And I think that is very rich to work in Latin America. And also, I mean, if I can mix my experience with Medtronic as well, because you know, Medtronic, I don't know if it was the last a year that I was working in Medtronic, but the dynamic and your day is very different than my past experience. You know, I started in Medtronic working in Chile as well 8 years ago. I was hired to work on the Chile startup. We opened the office there in Chile 8 years ago, and I started to work there. You know, hiring people, working with our former distributors. You know, I mean, like you need to create a company, you need to have product, collect the invoices, and of course shipping our product. You know, that it was the our first goal that we had to achieve it there in that moment. And after 1 year working there, I moved to the regional offices here in Miami, working as a finance manager for one of the portfolio division that we have in Medtronic, our former RTG, you know, now neuroscience, OU businesses, and was again that was a very big move for me, for my family as well, because I was pursuing that kind of opportunity, and I'm very happy that I can that I was able to find it in Medtronic. You know, so I moved from Chile to US uh, almost 7 years ago with my family, my wife, my two kids. And that moment, my kids were 4 years old, my daughter 1 year old, and we are very happy for being here in US, living this new culture, pursuing my American dream as well. You know, my son play tennis, and that is one of my goal in my life. You know, I hope to be in the professional tennis tour with my son, enjoying there. So I'm very happy for being here in Florida as well, because that I think Florida is the tennis headquarter for US, you know, so we are very close to our goal, and I can see my son working every day for this dream. So I have two goals, you know, I continue developing my career in Medtronic, but also my personal goal that you need to have to, not everything is work. I mean, you need to have the work-life balance. And moving to Medtronic in finance, if I compare Boston's IT, Figma, of course, I have in different momentum of my career, but I can say the finance team, or I mean, FP&A team, which is part of the finance organization, has a very dynamic day, also very strategic role. It's not like you are not going to be 24-hour in front of the Excel file. You need to be very close to our stakeholder. I working very close with my Latin America president, with the finance VP for Latin America as well, for America's organization as well, and talking about strategy, growing the businesses, you know, discussing our strategy to put correctly our investment, all the things, which is very positive and rich for your career. I mean, you like to be part of this kind of conversation. Do you want to be every day in front of the computer on your Excel, working on Excel file, you know? So that for me has been very, very good. And also when I have been the opportunity to work, to interview part of my team, or when we are looking for people in finance, that is part of my package to sell the role, which is, you know, because we are always looking for strategy finance, and you know, in order to be able to have those kind of discussion with different level of this company, not only with your peer, not only with your boss in finance, who also talk about finance, but on top of that, you are a key element for the division VP, for the region president, etc. So very glad for our role here in Latin America and finance as well, and also the connecting that you have with different region. I have the opportunity to discuss or leverage work from Australia, New Zealand, implementing here in Latin America or EMEA as well. Create your connection. I mean, your networking in order to learn, but also in order to look for new opportunity for your career. It's Medtronic or is huge, and you can work in different areas, region, and also in finance. You have taxes, accounting, FP&A, audit, etc. So I think the last year that I have been in this company has been very, very profitable for me in terms of professional way and career term, but also on my family or life experience as well. So very, very, very happy.
You touched on a lot of things there that I think are really important, and you talked a little bit about the balance of your professional and your life goals as well. And you talked a little bit about what your day looks like. Can you delve into that a little bit deeper and give the students more, if you had to, pick what is a normal day, right? No day is normal, but like,
yeah,
your average day, how much time do you spend in your work day meeting with people?
23 hours.
Working on projects, like how do you divide up your time?
Well, first, I as a team leader, I trust a lot in our people, so I don't want to be in all meeting. I need to, to expose our team in order that they can also to be a leader in each one of the areas that we are leading, So I mean, during the year, let me start explaining our year and then our days, because of course, as a finance, we have a peak in some period, when you are working in accounting, end of the month to closing, if you are working in tax, I don't know, March, April, peak, but in terms of FP&A, which is my core of the position or my role, you have, I mean, 3 or 4 periods during the year that you are working crazily, honestly, which is our AOP, which is very typical in all the, I mean, these topics are the same in different companies, not in Medtronic. When I talk with people here who was in Visa or I don't know, in different companies, it's the same process. I mean, you have AOP in one part of the year, which typically in finance, we are working like 3 months on AOP in order to negotiate target, in order to allocate target, and then working on our submission, etc. So it's like a 3 months. Then our different rolling forecast that we have in during the year, but also the strat plan. I mean, every year we are creating, we are working on 5 years strat plan. And there, as I mentioned before in my introduction, we have the opportunity to work with different teams. I mean, with marketing, creating a marketing plans or talking about investment. I just had a meeting with the Latin America president in order to present them how we are gonna be splitting our target for the strat plan, or our growth by OU, why this OU growing more than that one, etc. So I mean, in period, that is typically our peaks. Now, day by day change a lot. I mean, I have tried, and let's forget about our COVID season. I mean, the first year of the COVID situation was crazy. We had to rebuild everything, creating COVID AOP, COVID forecast, COVID weekly LBEs, COVID something, But now after that, I can say we are still trying to go to, the office, organizing with people to be there, having meeting, because nobody wants to be in the office attending the same Zoom that you can attend in your house, right? So you need to organize it much better with your people, with your team, with your college or peer in order to be in the office, discussing something. But typically, I think we are already in like a normality way, I think, working on this challenge year after pandemic. I mean, you have here our CEO Jeff Marta talking about our back order when he is speaking in front of the Wall Street or something like this about our back order. So we are working very closely with our marketing team and our geography in order to understand what a kind of product allocation we need every week in order to deliver our quarterly AOP. So, I mean, every day you're talking about sales, revenue, investment, what or which investment our geography or country need to execute the strategy or our AOP that we already having for FY 23, which is the year that we are currently living in Medtronic, but typically I try to balance everything in terms to enjoy my life as well, and probably when I was 20 years old, my life was the work, was I need to finish this, the patient, of course, I was young, but now I need to analyze much better my time because I need to walk every day, for my health, not for having muscle. It's only for having to be healthy, trying to every day to see a little bit of some practices, to feed my mind on my dream. So, I mean, I tried every day to schedule everything, to prepare my agenda weekly, always that is very, housekeeping, but at the end, every day I schedule my lunch, in order to have this break during the year, during the day. Because if not, when you realize that you didn't eat during all day, you didn't drink some water or something like that is a problem, Right. Probably in AOP season, that is the workload that we have. But the rest of the year, typically I can organize everything, even my catch up when I try to catch up my emails, etc. In order, because we have learned a lot when we were in COVID, people always scheduling meeting, you didn't have time to do your job, remember that, Susan? So at the end, I learning about this, I have tried to change that one. And now I can say my work-life balance is balanced, which is very good. But as a finance team, as a finance career, you have peak during the year, Our AOP season is always in the spring break. So I have never had the opportunity to be out of the office in the spring break because it's our AOP season. So we understood, it's part of our financial roles. But again, in FP&A, at least, as I mentioned before, our work is very strategy. Always we are talking about businesses, strategy, and in different level of the company, So that is very good.
Yeah, you touched on finance is such a broad area, right? It's a broad major. There's so many different things that you can do with a finance major. You've got some students sitting in here who are listening, who are going through these classes and trying to figure out what's my path in finance. How did you find your path? How did you choose this career? How did this career choose you?
It's very complicated question, Susan, because if you ask me when I was 16 years old, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, I have never thought, hey, I want to be a finance guy. I'm an accountant. I mean, I have a CPA and also an MBA, but I was studying in university 5 years as accountant. So I never thought, oh, I want to be an accountant, but okay, I was an accountant. I had the opportunity to be in a very good company, Boston Scientific, where I had the opportunity to have a very good boss. And that is very important. Before starting to think, oh, I want to be a tax guy, I want to be the super Excel user, no, I think when you have the opportunity to having a good team with a good boss, you're going to have opportunity to work in different topics in different area, and there you are going to be discovering, hey, I can do this very well, and then you can, discover your pathway. I think I didn't discover my pathway when I was 20, 21, 23. In any challenge that I had to face it, I tried to do my best with high attitude, that for me, and always I explain that because it's the same that I talk with my son every day. You can training 5 hours per day, but if you don't have attitude, you're not going to achieve anything, So when you prove that you want to do something and something very well, you're going to have the opportunity, but also you are going to discover yourself what do you want to do as well,
Right.
But I don't have a black and white response on this, honestly, because I never decide what I want to do, when I was young or 24, 25, I don't know. My work that I did was the best presentation letter that I have. I mean, so I don't know if I answered
You
the
did,
question.
and I think that's very important for all of us to remember and to hear. When I have these conversations with professionals, no matter what area they're in, very rarely do I hear someone say, I always knew I wanted to be this, and now I am this.
Yeah.
You made that motion, that windy motion. Really, when you look at people's paths, it very much is a journey of like a twisty, turny road.
Absolutely, and you need to make trade-off, Susan. For example, when I was working in Merck, as I mentioned before, was my first experience working in the region, more exposure with the headquarters in New Jersey, the headquarters in Merck, and I noticed that I had to improve my English because my English was very poor. If I wanted to improve my career in Merck and I have an international career or something like that, I had to develop my second language, which was the English. So I recall that I touch base with my boss and I say, hey, boss, I would like to improve my English. The best way that I can find at this point is to go to US 6 months, but my only ask to you and this company is freeze my position, no salary, of course, no benefit, but freeze my position. I'm going to go there to Boston studying English and I back to the same position, to the same role, but please take care of my position. I don't want to be at employment there. So I went to Boston during 6 months, studying there, very focusing on my study, English, learning, etc., develop my second language. And I'm back to Merck, and I had more opportunity to develop my career. At the end of my journey there in Merck, I was an analytics director. After 8 years, of course, we closed the office in Chile. We moved everything, as I mentioned, was shared services. So we moved everything to Colombia, to Guatemala, La India, like our shared services for Medtronic in Colombia based, So we did the same in Merck. And I found the Medtronic opportunity. I wasn't looking for Medtronic, I was looking for an opportunity to continue develop my career, deploying or capitalize all my experience that I had in work and Boston Scientific. And I found the perfect moment in Medtronic, working on starting up. Then I recall when I was in Medtronic, three months later, Medtronic announced the Covidian purchase, and I say, wow, what is going to happen with me? I just arrived in the company, and so yeah, you can plan everything, but everything is going to change,
About being willing to say yes to opportunities.
Absolutely.
And what an awesome story about your bravery to say, pause this position, hold my position. I'm going to go work on this thing I want to work on, and I'm going to come back. I've heard lots of people talk about doing things like that in their career, taking those risks and being willing to talk with your supervisor and say,
Well,
can I do this thing?
yeah, always when I have touching base with this, on this with our team, because my team always, they're young, they want to increase their role, they want to develop themselves. So almost every week we have this discussion with our team, and always we talk that you have three, when you are looking for something, you have typically three pillars that you need to analyze, you know, the place, the role, and your salary. Of course, when these three pillars are in the same place or pocket or everything, home run, of course, touchdown. But typically you don't tie these three pillars in the same moment. And always when you're looking for something, another alternative, another opportunity, you need to decide always. You never are, you know, sitting in your couch and say, oh, I need to analyze only one opportunity. No, never happened that one. Always everything appear in the same moment. Right. But you need to be very clear what is most important for you. If your salary, or if the role or the opportunity to develop something in your career, you know, or the place, or in my case, when I decide to came here to US, for me, it was very important, the place. I mean, they had the opportunity to come here in US and develop not only my career, also, you know, the family and everything there. So yeah, it's not only one question. I think you need to figure out what kind of element is more important in your life. No?
Yeah, and that may change over time.
Absolutely. Now, many people are considering more the free time. I mean, you know, now the story, and, you know, in middle of the pandemic as well. Yeah, people is deciding more to have more time for themselves, you know, or working from home, not going anymore to the office. So yeah, everything is changing. But at least you need to be very clear, what do you want, you know?
That's great advice. In all wrapped up in all of that, you know, the work-life balance, the deciding what you want and asking for what you want. How have you found the culture at Medtronic in terms of your expectations, your standards, that work-life balance? How has Medtronic's culture supported you in that?
Well, when you work in finance, the people in finance has 100% empathy with you, because we are in the same bucket, you know. So many people understood that we are tired, we are over, you know, we are facing overwork in some period. So we understand that. Now, basing on the new challenge that appear every day, of course, you can schedule everything, you can organize everything, but always you need to attack. I name 911 call, you know. The 911 call always appear every day, you know. So but at the end, you need to communicate clearly, which, or asking the challenge, asking the priority that, you know, that people, because again, let me rephrase this. As a finance team, most of the strategy or most of the ask finalize in finance. I mean, when you need to create a plan to go, I don't know, more direct in some countries, yeah, it's part of the, everything is starting in the commercial side, right? But at the end, somebody in finance need to create a business case, for example. So, I mean, at the end, most of the work finalized in finance. You always in the middle of something is a finance guy. So you need to be prepared of this kind of thing. Of course, not every day you can be, you know, oh, my day is very organized and balanced or tied to my plan. But at least you need to analyze the result by end of the week, you know. By end of the week, you say, oh, okay, that was a very good week. Maybe not. That, you know, some weeks are harder than another one. But in terms of, again, as we are very strategic finance, many people is looking for us. And, you know, for me, that is very good because the people can understand in Medtronic that finance is very important in the organization. And there always you are going to find a solution, or at least somebody that is going to share with you some ideas or something like this, you know. I'm very proud of this. You know, this week we have a finance talk hall for Latin America, and we were talking about this. You know, the strong team that we have in finance in Latin America, facing different challenge that we are facing currently, devaluation, inflation. You know, always a very tough AOP, etc. And we are doing very well, and the people, different culture, female, male, etc. We are doing a very good job, and we are creating a very good team. You know, I mean, you are not going to be alone in Medtronic. You have a team, not only in your region, even on beyond. For example, as I mentioned in the beginning, I had the opportunity to work with somebody in Australia, with EMEA, etc., in order to share some DAO or something like this, you know. So that is very good and profitable. I mean,
Yeah.
is very happy for that.
So clearly you could do finance at lots of different places. Why did you choose Medtronic? You know, when you talk with people about, I work for Medtronic, what is it that makes you proud to say that about working for Medtronic?
Well, first, we can see our patient improving their life. You know, I had friend, my brother used a pacemaker, Medtronic pacemaker. I have another their relative that diabetes pump, etc. So we are able to see how are we touching our patient in different way, you know, the access to the therapies. I mean, I have an opportunity to work in different you know, market access strategy, you know, and I can see there, yeah, from finance you are creating a plan in order that somebody in some Caribbean island can have access to the stroke device. I mean, you know, so it's very different, you know. It's, you can see there those kind of situation, and that is very proud of each one of us. I mean, it's our mission, you know. We are every day, every people when you talk, I can feel that everyone understood our mission, and that is, I think that is the most proud feeling that I don't know, feeling or activity or something that you can feel every day, you know. Then can come, I mean, then come the work that you do and everything, because at the end is different pillar aligning to have access to our therapy, that our patient can have or can receive the our Medtronic solution, etc. So yeah, I think that is most important topic. I mean,
Yeah.
and how we can feel more than proud. I mean,
I had the privilege of interviewing the 2022 interns, so the interns that just finished this last summer, and asked them a similar question. And really almost every person said that same answer was, as an intern, I didn't think they were going to give me real projects, that I was really doing real work for Medtronic that they use every day to help patients. And they were so
absolutely.
proud of the work that they got to do that was real work.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that is very important, you know.
Is that the seal?
Yeah, the medal. So the medal, and you know, so yeah, I have always, that is one of the things or symbol that I can bring from my office in the middle of the pandemic. Because yeah, it's like you need to be, you can't forget our mission, you know, when you are working.
Yeah.
It's not negotiable. I mean, that is part of the difference between maybe another company. I mean, in my last shoe company that I never had this kind of you know, how can you say, mission or approach to this kind of thing that Medtronic is doing, you know. So
Right.
it's very different. It's very different.
Yeah. I hear that over and over again from everyone. It's really refreshing and really good, because I know a lot of people are looking for, I don't want to just do work. I want to do work that matters. I want to make a difference in people's lives. What are some of the most challenging aspects of your job?
Well, what can you say? Well, first, I think now as pandemic or post-pandemic, etc., back to our dynamic, or I mean, with your team face to face. I had the opportunity to hire in some people in the middle of the pandemic, which I had never had in front of them, you know, because they are working from Colombia, for example, or Puerto Rico. So we have not had the opportunity to be all together in the same place, you know. And for me, that is very important because it's part of your team building, you know. I mean, the I think the another I think tough or challenge that we are facing is the new economic background that we are facing in a while. You know, I mean, supply issues, inflation, devaluation. You know, some shortage in our, I mean, hospital. I mean, even in our offices. You know, so yeah, has been complicated. You know, this pandemic are teaching a lot. I recall in the middle of some important process during the pandemic situation, my parent passed away due to COVID, both of them, and and at the end, I recall with the Chilean border closed, I wasn't able to go there because it was in the peak of the pandemic. But it's part of the process. I mean, it's part of the life. I mean, and the same mindset I use for the war. I mean, you are here for solving issues, for face those issues, for face those challenge. Yeah, every day or every week you can have new challenge, new situation, but if you are here, is for solving those kind of things. I mean, you can support it from your team or doing yourself, etc. But at the end, you are looking for some ideas or some way to face those challenges. So I can say, oh, which is the most complicated in my career was when I had to close the church services in Merca, because I started in Mer when we started the church services, so it was like our baby. But look, when closed the office or the church services in Chile, I had the opportunity to join in Medtronic. So yeah, something is closed, but at the same time something is open. So
yeah, when the challenge becomes a reward, right?
absolutely. As I mentioned in I don't know, in the beginning, in the middle of my conversation, is your work is the best presentation letter.
Yeah.
Don't oversold yourself, etc. It's your job. I mean, doing your job. Somebody's is looking for that. Somebody's seeing you. Somebody is seeing you to teach or to learn something. So relax, work. That's it. Medtronic has good opportunities, a huge company, a lot of position in finance or in another area. I can see some people from finance has crossed the river, to move to marketing, to commercial side. It's not only finance. I mean, when you ask me, hey, your advice to look for your correct pathway, probably the pathway is not in finance. You're going to be working on finance. You're going to say, oh, I can advise to somebody in marketing probably I can have opportunity in marketing as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many people from finance working now in marketing or in the OU, etc. So
Yeah, I just spoke with a young woman who just this week moved from supply chain to finance within Medtronic. She's like,
yeah,
I don't have
absolutely.
a finance background, but I have a supply chain background, and that's what I offer to the team. So
Yeah,
lots of movement.
absolutely.
Again, just kind of back to the students who are here, they're getting ready to go through this application, this interview process. You touched a moment there on just kind of some advice for them when you think about going through a written application, submitting your resume, going to interviews. What advice would you have for these students who probably don't have a lot of experience under their belt yet? They're pretty young. How do you navigate through that process?
In my case, when I had the opportunity to interview people with a lot of experience or a small one, the attitude. I mean, your attitude to do something, you know, for me, that is more important. I mean, as I mentioned before already, probably you can have a very good degrees, grades, studying in the best university, etc. But when you don't prove that attitude, even when you are working already, I don't know, the people doesn't want to work with you. You know, when you say, "Oh, I'm
Mhm.
busy," you know, "Oh, yeah, I really need to do this." No, it's you can feel that from someone else. So again, in my case, when I interview somebody, those kind of skill I try to discover, you know,
Yes.
the attitude, the motivation that you have to do something, to execute something, even in your personal life. I mean, you see, probably you were able to see my motivation when I start to talk about tennis, my son, etc. That is no word, but you can feel that passion on something.
Mhm.
I have, of course, I have my objective, my goal in a professional or career, but also I have my American dream, you know,
Yes.
tennis dream. And for me, equally important, I put a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of mindset, a lot of family time. And I'm very happy, you know, for doing that. And you need to prove that patient, and the
Yeah.
results are going to come. That's it.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for students for activities or any particular classes or things they should get involved on their campus that you think would really help them?
Well, honestly, I have never the opportunity to study in I mean, in U.S. university or something like this. You know, the dynamic there. I can see my 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 son now. He's in middle school, but he's attending, you know, like robotics, like coding or something like this. And he's doing that in order to discover people, another kind of people. I mean, another kind of, because he's very mad guy, but also every day he's training 4 hours after school tennis every day from Monday to Friday. So I know he signing up to those kind of classes to discover new things, you
Yeah.
know. And I think that is my advice. You already knows finance. I mean, accounting, taxes is pretty much the same in the different companies. Of course, the culture is going to change. Some processes are going to change. Some deadlines are going to change. But at the end, the same debit and credit, the same P&L is in different on several companies. So my advice is look for something that you can discover or create something else. I mean, um, I would like to have more time to be a tennis coach. I mean, you know, so yeah, that is pretty much my advice. I mean,
That's great
relax
advice.
with finance, relax with taxes. You are gonna be learning a lot in your career.
What I'm
My
hearing
first
you,
day, my first month in Boston Scientific was a disaster for me. Because my boss was asking me for something that I never learned in my university or in my, you know, I say, yeah, but yeah, I was writing this in my notebook or something like this, but now in your when you have to execute it, it's very different, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I think you're gonna learn a lot in your experience. I mean, in your real experience in the company, you know.
Yeah.
So if you are in the last year in the university, enjoy, because that is not gonna happen again. Honestly, so
Yeah.
enjoy, relax, and again, prove your attitude and
Mhm.
motivation to do something. And then when you are in Medtronic, try to connect with the people that can give you a good opportunity to work in different topics, who can also teach you a lot. um, and
Yeah.
then another opportunity are going to appear. I mean,
That's great advice. And what I hear a lot in what you're saying is finding things that you're passionate about, that you enjoy doing, that develop some of those professional soft skills, right? Like the teamwork and collaboration and just learning how to enjoy working with other people, I think is really powerful.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I want to ask the students one more time before we get ready to close here in a few minutes. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, feel free to put those in the chat or raise your hand and we can get your questions answered. I guess that means you've answered all their questions they didn't even know that they had. So we've done a good job, I guess.
Yeah.
I just wanted to remind everyone, and I'm going to share my screen back here for just a moment and share some next steps with you in this process. As you're looking to apply to this internship, you're going to go through ship.org /internship. You can apply through the Medtronic site, that's fine, but to be part of the internship cohort within Medtronic, you need to apply through the SHIP application. And on this website, what you'll see is we did an info session a few weeks ago with Brittany Prather, who's here to answer any questions you might have from the recruitment team about the nitty-gritty details of how to do the application, how is the timeline going to work, the interviews and things like that. So you'll see a recording of that session along with a video from the 2022 interns talking about their experiences at Medtronic. You'll also see the schedule and the recording for all the other career panels. I encourage you to watch them. Like Andres was sharing, there's a lot of crossover between these teams. Finance works with every single one of these teams, the mechanical engineers and the electrical engineers and all the projects they're working on. So there's a lot of crossover in between these teams. The most important thing to remember is to apply by 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, because that's where my desk sits. So I'm sitting in the middle of the country and I'm going to go on September 21st on that deadline and download those applications. And we're going to get started with the review process. So make sure you apply by that deadline. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You have emails from me personally, but you can also email internship@ship.org and we'll get your questions answered as well. Thank you so much, Andres. We really appreciate your time today. And thanks to the students who joined in today. I know you all have busy schedules as well. So thanks for taking time. And I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you again for inviting me. Count on me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.